God Talk Unfiltered.
I'm going to just give you guys a little background of where this letter that I wrote came from. Early July, I took a 2-week road trip. That road trip was me going from Michigan to Orlando for our church's general conference. And originally, I was going to stop at different states where I'm familiar with a chef or know of a restaurant, and I was going to eat at these places. And then it was very clear the closer my trip got that that was not what was meant for me. And so then I planned this totally different trip that ended up becoming like a small spiritual retreat for myself. When I got to Kentucky, I couldn't find anything that I wanted to see. And I just took that as the universe telling me, move on, it's not my time, it's not my place. And so then I went into the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. When I was in the Smoky Mountains, I found this, I could hear this water just raging from somewhere. And I ended up following it, and I found this beautiful little place. And when I was there, this message of write a letter came out. And so I started to write. Let me rephrase that. I started to type. So this is what I wrote. This letter is extremely personal, and I'm being very vulnerable by sharing this with you. So please understand that if I get emotional, that's why I've only read this one other time out loud. So also bear with me on that as well. Dear Sarah, I wanted to start by thanking you for being my rock for 29 years. You carried me through some of the hardest moments in this life. Honestly, I'm not sure where I would be or if I'd even still be here had it not been for you. The strength you had for us is something that I will never, ever take for granted again. However, I know that I've not shown you the same respect that you've shown me throughout this life. I remember at a time I hated you. I couldn't understand why you were here with me, and I never wanted you to be a part of my life, and I wish that you would just disappear. But you would sit there and you would allow me to beat you with these feelings or these words or emotions. As I'm writing you this letter, I realize now that you may have known that I would stand here one day and apologize for the way I treated you. When we were younger, you were the strong one. You held a place for everyone, but you really held a place for me. Whenever I would feel I was in danger, I'd call upon you, and you would just jump right into these battles head on for me with no questions. After every battle, I would always ask if you were hurt, and no matter how wounded or hurt you were, you would never let it show on the surface. I think somehow you knew that if I saw your wounds, I wouldn't be the man standing here in front of you now. You've been someone who always understood who I was and what I was going through. And when we were younger, you were always the one saying, one day everything will be different. I used to think that you were crazy until one day finally came. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office thinking to myself that I'm going to lose everything because of this, and I'm going to be alone forever. You sat there with me as I said these things, and you looked at me and you said, Nicholas, do you remember when I would tell you one day? And I just looked at you with this blank look on my face. Like you have no idea what I'm feeling, but sure. Your response was something I'll never forget. You said, today is the day that you're going to leave here, and everything is going to be just as I told you it would. And as I remember leaving, this feeling came over me that this is the last time you're ever going to look at her the same. But I brushed it under the rug, and I thought nothing more of it. After that day, I struggled with life. I tried to be just like you, but I realized very quickly that I wasn't you at all. I didn't have the ability to take these battles head on. And I hid the way I felt about them. I found myself lost and feeling very different from everyone around me. I tried to call on you to come save the day like I did when we were younger, but unfortunately, this time you didn't answer my calls. And as I stood there with life's battles at my doorstep, I fell to my knees and allowed everything that you had tried to protect me from to grab a hold of me and become my new best friend. I became a very bitter and angry and unstable man. Within the first year of my transition, faith came knocking at my door, and through faith I found that I'm a very strong, brave, and vulnerable man. And I've come to realize that it's okay to wear my heart on my sleeve and love hard even if others don't give back or any at all. Through this new spiritual journey, I realized that I used you as a coping mechanism. I held on to things that served no purpose for me because it was something that you had gone through. The feelings that I had leaving the doctor's office was standing right in front of me. You were not the same person. And as a matter of fact, you turned into everything you had protected me from when we were younger. I can never thank you enough for carrying all those burdens, battles, scars, and pain for me. And as I continue to grow, I realize that those things serve no purpose for me, which means that you no longer serve a purpose for me either. And if I continue to take me with you on this journey, I'll stop growing. So with that being said, it's time to move forward. But that means saying goodbye to my best friend. And there's no easy way to do this, but you and I both know that it has to be done, but it's got to be done my way and not yours. So my friend, my best friend, there are always going to be small things that remind me of you. And when I think of you, I will always think of the hero that I had standing by my side, holding my hand as a child. I will always love you, and like I said in the beginning of this letter, thank you for being my rock. One day has come and gone, just like you said. It would, just like you said it would. But today will always be the day that you and I parted ways. Your spirit is free to go back home and leave this earth. Goodbye, my friend. Love, Nicholas.